All right, here is Robo Libse theory lesson take one. We'll see if we can do it all in one take. So go ahead and take a sheet of paper you're gonna take notes on. We'll do a worksheet after this. If you follow along with everything we go over and take some decent notes with everything we go over, you should have zero problem completing the worksheet. So my goal is for you guys to be successful on this and hopefully give you enough information to do so. So starting off, I'm just going to put the heading of theory, music theory. There's about 1,000 different ways that we can go with this, but we're going to break it down into two basic components. One is going to be a tonal component, so like the different intervals, stuff like that, key signatures, sharps, flats, major and minor scales, and then we'll do a rhythmic component, which is reading different rhythms, how they're constructed, and more stuff along those lines. So we're going to start with the tonal theory side of things, and the basis of all tonal theory is our intervals. So let's start by defining what an interval is. An interval is very simply the distance between two notes. I'm not going to require you guys to know a whole lot of intervals. Right now, we're just going very, very basic, and the only two I need you to know are a half step, which is the smallest distance between notes in our Western scale. I say Western scale because there's different forms of Eastern music, all sorts of things that use quarter steps and smaller. But for now, we're going to call this the smallest distance between two notes. And then the next one I really need you guys to know is a whole step, which is quite simply two half steps. Simple enough. Next part of our definition of tonal theory is sharps and flats. Sharps, like a hashtag, raise a note, one half step. A flat looks like a fancy italicized B. Lower a note, one half step. And the semi-trickier one is a natural, which I draw an L and then a 7 that intersect in the middle. And that cancels any previous sharp or flat. So if you got an F sharp and you see an F natural, it can lower it. But at the same time, if you have a B flat and you see a B natural, that can actually raise it. So naturals can do both, whereas sharps only raise and flats only lower. What's coming up next is probably the most important thing that you get down on your paper, because you'll be able to use it to answer almost 80% of the questions on the tonal theory worksheet. So it's the basis of kind of all Western tonal music, and it's called the circle of fifths. You'll notice a lot of music is organized in fifths. All of us play stringed instruments. The instruments are intervals of fourths and fifths. So they're intervals that we are pretty familiar with on strings. We are going to start at the top with C, and then it is constructed completely of fifths. So if you think 5 notes apart, you've got C, D, E, F. The next note will be G, then G, A, B, C, D, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, F, G, A, B, and then here's where it gets a little bit trickier. Hold on, I'm getting a little discombobulated here, trying to make a nice symmetry. As I had a problem. Okay, so B, the next note you would think would be F, but in order to make it a perfect fifth, which is what we need, it's actually going to be an F sharp. And here is where we're at the very bottom of our circle, so we're going to cross over as well and use flats. So now we've got G flat down here. We'll get to this in a second, but let's go back to the top of the circle, and let's go, rather than going up a fifth, let's go down a fifth. So we got C, B, A, G, down a fifth is F. F, E, D, C, down another fifth is B flat. Down a fifth from B flat is E flat. Down a fifth from E flat is A flat. Down a fifth from A flat is D flat, and then down a fifth from D flat is G flat, which we've already got at the bottom. So you can, for the most part, divide this into halves, a really faint line down the center, and any of the keys, I'll start using the word keys, that are on the right side of the circle are going to be sharps, and anything on the left side of the circle is going to be flats. So, to make this the simplest to understand, I'm going to start a little sub thing over here, which is a little section on sharps and a little section on flats. So, you guys have multiple times in orchestra, I have asked, what is our key signature here, and how do you know what key we're in from it? You're going to learn today officially how to do that. So sharps and flats both always are introduced to a key signature in the exact same order. It is as follows: fat, F, cats, go, down, alleys, eating, so I'm getting off my page here, bugs. So F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Any music you will ever see, if there is a C sharp in the key signature, there will always be an F sharp in the key signature. If there is an A sharp in the key signature, there will always be an F, C, G, D sharps to go along with the A sharps. The order with flats is fairly easy to remember. It's just exactly backwards. B, E, A, D, G, C, F. So, for the most part, in terms of middle school orchestra music, we aren't ever going to get very far beyond 3 of these. So you guys have all seen music that has F sharps and C sharps in it. Some of you guys have seen music that's got G sharp and T signature, and some maybe even some B sharp. And if we're playing in a flat key, you've seen B flats and E flats, and maybe the occasional A flat. So that's what I really need you guys to know, but I will show you all of them here momentarily. Popping back over here, the order of the sharps. So if we add one sharp, it's going to be F sharp. And so think about the key signature for G major. It has one sharp in it, and that sharp is F sharp. Key signature for D major has 2 sharps in it, and those sharps are F sharp and C sharp. So thinking to yourself, note you're not going to say anything out loud. You know who I'm talking to. A has 3 sharps in it. I will give you 5 seconds to come up with the answer on your own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. F, C, and G sharp. So let me go ahead and write these in all the way. So F, C, F. E is going to have 4 sharps. F, C, G, D. B is going to have 5 sharps. I'm not going to keep writing them in because it's going to be confusing. F sharp major, ugly key, has 6 sharps. Okay, so going back around, follow the same logic over here. F has 1 flat, which is B flat. B flat has 2 flats, E flat and E flat. E flat has 3 flats. A flat has 4 flats. We'll do a knowledge test here. We got D flat. Come over here. You know we're going to have 5 flats. They are going to be B, E, A, D, and G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then G flat also has 6 flats. So 6 flats or 6 sharps. You can play, if you play it on the piano, these two will sound exactly the same. It's just with what notes they're written as. We've skipped one intentionally, and that is C right up here. You'll notice that it has no sharps or flats, and if you think about if you've ever played a C major scale in class, it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. There are no flats or sharps in the key signature. It is all naturals. So this is a big component of here, as this is kind of the shortcut way to come up with building scales and figuring out what notes are in your scales. So if you follow this as your guide, you will always be able to come up with it. I should, hopefully, if you spend more time on this, I say A major, you should go, that's 3 sharps, F, C, G. I have them all memorized just because I've dealt with them all so many times, but that's not necessarily a requirement, but I would like you to be able to look at your music and know what key we're in based on the key signature. For those of you that everything I just said blew completely over your head and you're very stressed about how you're going to build scales, I'm going to go with the kind of simpler model of doing it next. So I'm going to slide this up a little bit, and I can zoom out later and show you the whole sheet again at the end. So throwing pencils. So we've got building scales. All right, I'm going to do one using the circle of fifths first, just to prove the concept. Because I think it's easier to go this way. So let's build a D major scale, because I think most of you guys will just all know the notes to that. Okay, using the circle of fifths, I'm not going to worry anything about sharps and flats. Any D major scale is going to have, any D scale of any kind, it's going to have D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, correct? So, using the circle of fifths method, you find where it is. You've got, you see D, you see it as 2 sharps. You know they are F and C, so you put sharps next to your F and your C, and voila, your scale is built. No other questions asked. Using a slightly more methodical, slower approach is determining what intervals are between each one, and everyone will follow the exact same pattern. So you got D to E is a whole step, E to F is a whole step, F to G is a half step, use that H, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, E to C sharp,